Hello everyone, welcome to the second day of the 30 days of Google Cloud program. I hope you are making progress with the labs. We are almost halfway through this program and you have around 17 more days left to complete the labs. A quick reminder about the deadline, which is 5th of November. Today I will give a walkthrough of two of the challenge labs. One is the Deploy and Manage Cloud Environments with Google Cloud Challenge Lab, and the second one is the Build and Secure Networks in Google Cloud Challenge Lab. So let's get started. So I have already navigated to the Deploy and Manage Cloud Environments Challenge Lab. So first of all, let's start the lab. This will cost you 9 credits. So launch with the credits. So this lab will take some time to provision the resources. So by the time it processes them, let's take a look at the overview section. So in the overview section, there is like the basic information about all the labs, like how you should start the lab and all, and like what are the topics that you will be tested on in this challenge lab. So they are given here. Now here it is written specifically that you do not have to wait for the lab to provision. You can complete tasks 1 and 2 before the lab provisioning has ended. So in the setup section, it just tells you to how to start the lab. Okay, so coming to a challenge scenario, let's look at this. So you have started a new role as a cloud architect for Zoli Inc. You are expected to help design and manage the infrastructure at Zoli. Common tasks revolve around designing environments for various projects within the Zoli Inc. family, but also include provisioning resources for projects. You are expected to have the skills and knowledge for this task, so don't expect step-by-step guides as the challenge labs. You have been asked to assist the Kraken team complete setting up their product development environment. The previous cloud architect working with the Kraken team was unfortunately too curious about if Krakens were real or not and has gone missing after venturing. So it's like a story that is given here. So Zoli Inc. management has supreme faith in your abilities, don't let them down. The Kraken team are building a next generation tool and they will host the application on Kubernetes. The project source code is stored in the cloud source repositories within Spinnaker building and deploying any changes into the build Kubernetes environment. Okay, so now here are some the resources that you should use in this section, the standards you should follow. There you can see we have first the region specified and then the zone. Naming is normally team resources. Example and resource could be named Kraken Web Server 1. Allocate cost effective resource sizes. So in this section, like the region and the zone are specified, these are two important things that you should keep in mind, because if you like try to use other region or resource, other zone, then your account might be blocked, because in the Qwiklabs the resources are already specified and you are not allowed to use any other resource other than those specified in the labs. And it is also given that you should use this N1 standard one as the VM environment that you should use for deploying. Now coming to the main part, that is a challenge. So let's look at this task 1, create the production environment. The previous cloud architect had written the deployment manager configuration to build the network for Kraken's production environment. You can find the DM configuration on your Gem host in this path. Create the network using deployment manager configuration workdm production network.yml and this jinja file. So if you don't know what this .jinja is, this is actually like a templating language for Python. So you do not need to know much about this, because we will just be using this pre-written scripts to configure our network. If you want to look at this, I will show while doing the lab what the script contains. So you will need to create the Kubernetes environment. The application is already created in the cloud repository. Create two node clusters called Kraken product and Kraken prod VPC. Remember to use number of nodes 2. Okay, so let's first open this Google Cloud Console, the Google Cloud Platform, in an incognito window. Now sign in with the email username and the password given here. The username or the email, you can say. Enter this here, and then the password. Accept these terms. Click on confirm. So agree to these terms again. Okay, so we are now into the Google Cloud Platform environment. So let's look at the task 1 again. So we have to first create a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, first we have to go to this Jampo section. So okay, let's go to the VM. That there should be already configured VM available. So let's go to the compute engine section and go to VM instances. Here you can see the Kraken gem post is already created, that they have specified there. So we have to SSH into this. Okay, so now we are connected to this Kraken gem post. Let me zoom in a bit. Now let's look at the task 1. Oh, we have to go to this path work/dm. Let's see into that. Let's look at what's available. So let's look at this YAML file first. You can use the cat command to look at this. So here it just imports the path and the resources. Okay, so the region is not specified here. So you can also use a text editor to edit this, or you can also use a command to do this. You can use this set regions field and use the region that is available given in this lab in the beginning, that is this US East 1. So let's copy and paste it from here. Okay, so US East 1, and we have to write it to the production network.yaml. Okay, so if you now view the file again, you will see this region has been inserted here. Oh, you can also use a text editor to do this if you do not know about this command. That is for inserting a the replacing this section in the YAML with the given uh, that region. Now let's look at the task 1. Okay, so we will now create the deployment and the clusters. First we have to configure this, so let's do that. So you have to use the Google Cloud's deployment manager. Deployment manager, deployments. Now you have to create the prod-dash network that was specified there. And we have to use this configuration YAML file. So give here config and specify that YAML file. Wait for it to create. Okay, so it is now created. There are no errors. Okay, now let's create the Kubernetes cluster, the container cluster. But before that, let's set the default compute zone because we have not specified that before. So you can just use Google Cloud gcloud command to do that. Gcloud config, then set the compute zone. Set the compute zone to US East 1 as this was specified there. So US East 1, US East 1 B. So this is the zone. US East 1 is the region and US East 1 E, East 1 B is the zone. Just run this and your compute zone will be updated. Now let's create the cluster. Container clusters, create. So what's the name given? This one, Kraken prod. This is the cluster name. Let's copy and paste it from here. Now we have to specify the nodes, I think. Yes, so we have to use 2 nodes only, so we have to specify this property. Number of nodes to 2. Then we have to use a network, I believe. Yes, this is the VPC network. So we have to specify the network property as well. Network, this one. and we have to also give the subnetwork as Kraken pod subnet. Okay, so let's run this now. So wait for the cluster to create. In the meantime, while the cluster is being created, let's look at the tasks one more time. Okay, so after this we have to navigate to this path work k is to create the front end and back end deployments and services. Okay, so let's wait for this to create. Sometimes this takes a while to get created because it is a whole Kubernetes cluster that has been deployed. By the way, don't forget to run one another step after this, that is to get the credential, otherwise you won't be able to access that cluster. And it also verifies whether the cluster is properly created or not. Okay, so now our cluster is created. You can see here the location is given US East 1B and machine type N1 standard 1 because that's the default, and number of nodes are 2. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, now we have to get the credentials. So you can use the gcloud command, gcloud container clusters get credentials, and specify this name, that is Kraken prod. Okay, so now this credential is generated, so you will be able to access this cluster afterwards. Oh, after this we have to go to the path specified here in step 2. Let's navigate to that path. Just copy and paste it from here. Let's look at what the file contains. So these are the front end and back end deployment YAML file, and these are the service files. If you want to look at any YAML file, you can again use that cat command. Let's look at the front end file, that YAML file. If you open this file, the people who have gone through these labs or any other lab with the YAML files, the version wasn't updated before. So now this is fixed and you can see this is updated to as version 1, and the selector field which was missing before with this version requires. So these are all now created, so you don't have to worry about like YAML being the wrong YAML which was not getting deployed before. Oh, now let's deploy these files. Oh, we have to run these 4 files. So what we can do is you can use the Kubernetes CTL command, kubectl create. Then you can specify each file name and run this command for 4 times, or otherwise you can do it in a loop like this. You can just run a for loop. So we have to get the file names with .yaml, and then you can use the Kubernetes control command and the file. So we have the file name in this capital F variable, so use that here, and done. So this will run a loop and deploy all the files. Okay, you can see there's all these deployments are created and the services are also created. So I think this should complete the first task. This is a simple architecture design that we just create. This part we just did right now. We connected the backend production frontend to the cloud load balancing, which gives it access to the remaining networks in this architecture. Let's click on check my progress. Okay. If you don't get this error, like you have not completed all the steps, then you can go to this orange flyer, this fly out, and click on check my progress. Okay, so I think it's now updated. If you had missed any steps, it would have shown on clicking this check my progress button, but I think there is some error on their side, so it is showing failed to update assessment. So whatever, we have completed this task 1, so let's move on to task 2. Oh, in task 2 we have to set up the admin instance. So let's read this step 1 of this. Once you create the Kraken prod VPC, you will need to add an instance called Kraken admin, a network interface in Kraken management subnet, and another in Kraken production subnet. And then you need to monitor Kraken admin CPU utilization is over 50%. Okay, so first of all we have to create this Kraken admin compute instance, and then we have to set up a monitoring for that to check if the CPU utilization is over 50%. Okay, so let's create this. For creating the instance, you can also go to that compute engine. You can go to this compute engine VM instances, and also you can click on this create instance to create that instance with that configuration. But I want to show you the command line. So using the command line, you can use that gcloud command. So gcloud compute instances, create. Now we have to give this instance name, that is Kraken admin. Let's give it here. Now we have to specify two network interfaces. Network interface. So let's see what's it named. First is this Kraken MGMT subnet. Let's copy and paste it here. And we have to make another network interface. Okay, so it won't be network interfaces, it will be network interface. Now let's get this network interface name. Okay, so run this command. Gcloud compute instances, create Kraken admin network interface subnet. Okay, so we have to use subnet here. Network interface is a subnet name. We have to use this subnet property over here. Oh, we have to use like this network interfaces. We have to specify the subnet as this because we have been given the subnet names. So let's run this again. This should work. Okay, so this instance is now created with the default machine type and it is running. Oh, if you go to this Google Cloud Platform VM instances and refresh this one, yes, you can see this Kraken admin is now been running. Now we have to set up the monitoring for this as it is given here. So for setting up monitoring, go to the navigation again and then you have to go to the monitoring section. So under operations you have this monitoring and under monitoring go to alerting section. Wait for it to load up. It will build the workspace and then you can set up the monitoring. This takes some time to load up, so wait for it. Okay, so now we have to go to this alerting section and create a alert policy here by clicking on this button. We have to add a condition here. So under conditions you have to give a target. So it will be a VM instance, and then it should be CPU utilization. Okay, so in filter we have to give that instance ID of the Kraken, that admin that we have created. So can we get this from here? No, so you have to copy the Kraken ID first. So go to the VM instances again, under compute engine, VM instances here, go to the Kraken admin and copy this instance ID from here. Now go back to the monitoring section, alerting, and create the policy again. Add the target VM instance, and here it will be CPU utilization. Under filter you have to choose this instance ID and then just paste this instance ID here. So this is the instance ID. Click on apply, and okay, so this will be default aggregator. We do not have to do anything. For configuration we have to give the threshold as 50% because that's the one specified there, and then you can click on add. So go to the next step. So we have to set up a email notification for this. Yes, so it is given here, you need to send an email to yourself. So we have to use this email ID for that. Let's copy it from here, and under notification channels you will get an option to manage notification channels. Click on this. So here you have to add a new email. So under email click on add new and paste that email ID here, and you can give any display name. Just give it user and save. Now this notification channel is created. Let's refresh this one. Oh, you can see the user is now shown here, so select it. Let's move on to next step. You can give any alert name here. Let's give Kraken alert. Okay, so let's click on save. So okay, so it is created now, this Kraken alert, and it is enabled. So I think this task is also complete. Let's click on check my progress. Okay, so this is complete. Now moving on to the task 3, that is to verify the Spinnaker deployment. Oh, before this task, make sure the lab resources are provisioned. So they are provisioned, nothing is shown here. Oh, let's read this. The previous architect set up a Spinnaker in Kraken build VPC. Please connect to the Spinnaker console and verify that build resources are working. To access Spinnaker console, use the Cloud Shell and kubectl to port forward the SpinDeck port to port 9000 to 880, and then use the Cloud Shell's web preview. You must test a change to the source code. You must test that a change to the source code will result in automated deployment of the new build. You should pull the sample app repository to make the changes. Make sure you push a new updated tag. Okay, so first of all, let's uh, get this Spinnaker tutorial running and set up the port forwarding first. So the Kraken build VPC is already created, so we do not need to create anything. We just have to port forward. Oh, access the activate this cloud shell from here. Click on continue. Wait for it to provision the resources for the cloud shell. Okay, so here we have to first uh, declare the zone, because we have declared the zone only in this SSH section. Oh, we have to we have not set up the zone for this entire project, so let's do that first so that it doesn't switch to any other zone. So for that, use the gcloud command. You have to use gcloud config set compute zone, and we have to give US East 1 B. Okay, so the compute zone is updated. Now let's get the credential for the Spinnaker tutorial. Gcloud container clusters get credentials. Now Spinnaker tutorial. Okay, so authorize this. Okay, so now the credentials are generated for the Spinnaker tutorial. Oh, now we have to do the port forwarding. So for that, I have already a written command. Like, you can do the port forwarding by going you have to go to the Kubernetes section in clusters, and then you have to find this Spinnaker tutorial, and from there also you can do the port forwarding, but that requires a lot of steps. So for get going faster, let's use this command. So this will do what, like this will give a default namespace as the spin deck cluster, and this is for getting that list item from the JSON file. Oh, run this. So this will store this environment variable, this command in an environment variable, so we can use it later. Now we have to run the port forwarding command. Oh, kubectl. Now port forward. Define the namespace as default, and then you can use this environment variable here. Oh, this will use this namespace, and we have to port forward to 880 from 9000. Let's check it once. port forward from 9000 to 880. Okay, then we have to use this, and we will be doing it in the background. Okay, so this should work. Okay, so this process should port forward. Now let's see what's the second step. Then we have to use the Cloud Shell's web preview to access the Spinnaker console. So let's do that. So for going to the web preview, click on this button. You can see in the Cloud Shell there is a button called web preview. Click on this and select this preview on port 880. You can see this Spinnaker page is loading up. Okay, so now you have to go to the applications, and you can see here one sample file is present. If you look at the task 3 here, you can see that you should pull this sample app repository. So let's look at what it is. So go to the pipelines. Here you can see a pub sub is already running. So let's start one manual execution from here to verify that everything is working. Then we will make the change and you have to run it again. Okay, select this deploy from the pipeline and click on run. And you can see this pub sub, this yellow thing means that it is waiting to be deployed to production environment. So they give this access by clicking on continue. You can see the pub sub is deployed. Let's wait for this manual start to start up. So it will take some time. In the meanwhile, let's do the other steps required. So you can see that it started running. Okay, so let's look at the tasks once more. We have to pull the sample app repository and make a change. So let's do that now. For pulling, you can use the gcloud command, gcloud source repo. Clone, the name of that is sample app. Gcloud source repos clone sample app. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so now the sample app is cloned. Let's move into the sample app path. Okay, let's look at the contents. Oh, you can see that the sample app repository is cloned. Now let's make a small change. Let's just add a file. You can use a touch A. Let's add a file named A. Use the ls once more. You can see there, here is the A file. Now for making the pull request, you have to first configure the git. So like you have to do in our computers initially. So in the VM also we have to first run the git config with the and set up the user email and username. Git config global user email, and here you have to give the email. So you can use the email that is given in the Qwiklabs here, from here also the username, or otherwise you can also use, like, retrieve that email using this gcloud config get value account. So this should work. Okay, so this should set up the email, and we have to give the username git config global user name. Let's set it to student. Git config global, oh, we have made a mistake here. This will be git. Okay, so let's make the commit now. Git commit. Oh, this A file is committed. Now we have to add a tag. As it is written, make sure you push a new updated tag. So we have to add a git tag. Let's add a tag as version 1.0.1. Now let's make the push. Git push tags. Okay, this should add the new tag. Now let's return to the Spinnaker console, and so it is asking for this allowance to production. Click on continue. So this is deployed. If you now click on check my progress, it should show you this, because we have to use the new changes to make the deployment again. Oh, if you go to the flyout here, you can click on check my progress from here, and it gives you a message. I don't know if you can read this. Like, this shows please push a new updated tag in the sample repo and run the build. So we have done the we have pushed the changes, and let's rerun this manual execution. So wait for it to complete this time. Give it the production allowance. You can continue. Okay, so this is now deployed, or it is deploying. We have 10 minutes left, so there's not a problem. Okay, so this is now deployed. Oh, now click on check my progress. Sometimes this takes time to update here. Oh, this is done. Let's click on the fly out. Okay, so this, you can see this 20 points is given. Let's click on check my progress again. Okay, so now it's updated and we have the full points here. So let's end this lab. Okay, so we are done with this lab. Let's also close these tabs. Oh, we will do one another lab today. That is this one. Build and secure networks in Google Cloud. Let's move on to that. Okay, so let's start this lab. First click on start lab. This lab should be a shorter one. This won't take like the previous lab. This won't take more than 20 to 30 minutes to complete this one. Wait for it to provision resources. Let's go through the instructions of this lab. This is the overview. You can skip this. This is the basis thing. So in the overview, these are the topics that you will be tested on in this challenge lab. In the setup also it says to start the lab just. So if you come to this challenge scenario, let's go through this. You are a security consultant brought in by Jeff, who owns a small local company, to help him with his very successful website Juice Shop. Jeff is new to Google Cloud, and had his neighbor's son set up the initial site. The neighbor's son has since had to leave the college, but before leaving he made sure the site was running. You need to help Jeff and perform appropriate configuration for security. Below is the current situation. So this is the current setup. So the admin is connected to Bastion and the Juice Shop, and the customer is connected with HTTP with the Juice Shop. Let's move on to your challenges section. You will need to configure this simple environment securely. Your first challenge is to set up appropriate firewall rules and virtual machine tags. You also need to ensure that SSH is only available to Bastion via IAP. So if you have gone through the previous labs, you should know this one. IAP is Identity Aware Proxy. It is like a VPN, but Google Cloud directly gives this, so you do not have to use a VPN externally to use the Google Cloud servers, to use another Google Cloud server from a already created one. So you can directly use the IAP without any VPNs. For the firewall rules, make sure the Bastion host does not have a valid have a public IP, you can only SSH to Bastion only via IAP. You can only SSH to Juice Shop. Only HTTP is open to world for Juice Shop. Okay, so this is the architecture that is given here. Oh, in the first step we have to just set up the firewall rules. Let's do that. First, let's start the this Google Cloud platform in an incognito window. Copy this email and the password. Accept the terms. Click on confirm on this. Agree to these terms of services. Okay, so we are now into the Google Cloud platform. Let's look at the tasks once more. So we have to uh, check the firewall rules and remove the overly permissible rule. Okay, so we have to check the firewall rules. For that we have to first go to the VPC network. Go to the navigation menu, and here you will get a VPC network option. Yes, this is the VPC network option. So go to the firewall section of this. You can see that there is one open access named firewall. So as the task says, we have to remove this firewall. So let's activate the cloud console, the cloud shell. Wait for it to provision. Okay, so let's remove that firewall using the gcloud command. We have to use gcloud compute, then firewall rules. We have to delete, and the name is open access. Give this, authorize this. Type Y here. Okay, so now that firewall rule is now deleted. So let's click on check my progress here. Okay, so let's move on to step 2. So this step says navigate to compute engine in cloud console and identify the bastion host. The instance should be stopped. Start the instance. Okay, so let's go to the compute engine and VM instances. You can see this bastion is stopped, so just select this and click on start. Select start. Okay, so the bastion host is now successfully started, so this should also be complete. Moving on to step 3. The Bastion host is the only machine authorized to receive external SSH traffic. Create a firewall rule that allows SSH from the IAP service. The firewall rule should be enabled on Bastion via network tag. Okay, so we have to create a firewall rule for this using TCP port 22. So let's do that. For that you can use the Qcloud again. To use Qcloud compute firewall rules, and we have to create it. Let's name it SSH ingress, and we have to allow TCP 22 port. Now we have to specify the source ranges property. So the source ranges will be the IP. Oh, you can just use this one. IP, and we have to set the target tags as SSH ingress, and we have to give the network property as well. Oh, this should work. Would compute firewall rules, create this. Okay, so let's run this. So you can see this firewall rule is created successfully, SSH ingress, and then we have to add the tag. Let's look at this step. Yes, the firewall rule should be enabled on Bastion via network tag. So we have to do that. For that, Qcloud compute instances, and we have to add tags to Bastion, and we have to define the tags as SSH ingress, and then also give the zone here because we have not set up the zone before. Oh, it is that you can use any default one like US Central B, US Central 1B. Let's run this. Okay, so this is now updated. So this task should be complete. Okay, so now let's move on to step 4. The Juice Shop server serves HTTP traffic. Create a firewall rule that allows traffic on HTTP TCP/IP to any address. The firewall rule should be enabled on Juice Shop via a network tag. Okay, so we have to again create a firewall rule, but this time not SSH. This will be HTTP. Let's do that. Qcloud compute firewall rules, and we have to create HTTP ingress, and we have to allow the TCP/IP, allow TCP/IP. Then you have to it will be open to all, so you have to use this IP, that is 000, means 0.0.0. So source ranges, you have to specify it as 0.0.0.0/0. Now you have to give the target tags. So target tags will be HTTP ingress and network as Acme VPC. Oh, let's run this. Oh, you can see this is created now, and we have to add this tag to the juice shop. So let's do that using the Qcloud build instances, add tags. This will be juice shop. Specify the tag as HTTP ingress, and also keep the zone here as US Central 1 B, as we have specified before. Use the same zone. Oh, let's run this. Oh, you can see this is now updated. Oh, this task should also be complete. Moving on to step 5. You need to connect to juice shop from the bastion using SSH. Create a firewall rule that allows traffic on SSH TCP/22 from Acme management subnet network address. The firewall rule should be enabled on juice shop via a network tag. So we have to first create another firewall rule for accessing this from the Acme management subnet. So create this rule first. Oh, use Qcloud compute and firewall rules. Create, let's name it internal SSH ingress, and it will be allowed on TCP/22. Let's check it once more. Yes, it should be allowed on TCP/22. Now specify the source ranges. Source ranges should be this will be The source range should be this one, so we can use this 192.168.10.0. You would not have to specify this 2, you can give as 0 and then specify up to 24. Then set up target tags. Target tag says that internal SSH ingress, then you have to also specify the network. Network will be Acme VPC. Let's run this. Okay, so this is now created. Let's set this tag to juice shop. Again use Qcloud compute instances, add tags, give the tag name as juice shop. Now specify the tag. Internal SSH ingress. Also specify the zone here as the default one, that is US Central 1B. So let's run this. Okay, so this will be tags, not tag. So you can see this is now updated. So let's click on check progress on the task 5. So moving on to task 6. This is the last task. In the compute engine instances page, click the SSH button on the Bastion host. Once connected, SSH to juice shop. So this is a very easy one. So let's we are in the compute instances VM. So we have to SSH into the Bastion host. So SSH into this. Let me zoom it a bit. Now for you have to SSH into the juice shop from Bastion. Oh, we are into the Bastion SSH. Oh, we have to SSH into juice shop. Oh, we need its internal IP. Oh, if you go to the this VM instances, you have to copy this internal IP with this one and paste it here. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes. Okay, so we are connected. Let's check the progress. Okay, so we have completed this challenge lab. You can see we got the full score. Let's click on end this lab. Okay, so we are done with our 2 labs now. Close this Google Cloud Platform window. So this is it for today. But before I wrap up, let me show a GitHub repo that I have been maintaining for this program. I had also shared its link on the Telegram group. Oh, if I go to GitHub. Oh, I have been maintaining this repo called Qwiklabs challenges. You can get its link from the Telegram group. So uh, this repo contains all the important information regarding this program, and it also consists of some of the challenge lab solutions. So if you get stuck while solving any challenge lab, you can refer to this one. Oh, I have uploaded up to the 5th lab, and today I showed also the 4th and 5th one. Oh, if you go to this, like, you will get all the CLI commands, the Gcloud commands that I used for all the tasks. And this is some important resources also, like the 30 days of Google Cloud program description page, the Google Cloud Docs link, and all the lab links are also here, so you can directly move into each lab from this page. Oh, there's some this support email is also here if you want to quickly get that. Thank you for tuning in today, and good luck for your progress in the 30 days of Google Cloud program. Bye guys.